This is Jacob Balmer, and he's a
You dropped
youth
the paper, you can be able
youth
to
leader.
read
Yeah,
the
I'll get the
question.
paper. I can handle myself. This is Jacob Balmer, and he's a youth leader at my church at Grace Long Beach. And he also teaches at the Lakewood Christian schools. So, could you first tell us, how did you get involved in teaching youth?
I was attending my church for about 3 years without being very involved at all, and decided that was not a way to grow in my faith, that I needed to be doing more besides just showing up on Sunday mornings and then going home. So I was invited by one of my friends who actually brought me to Grace to go play Ultimate Frisbee at the Bay with some of the people in youth, both in the high school group and in the college group. And decided, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. So I went down to the beach, and that ended up going on for the whole summer. And that was a lot of fun, just being a part of that group and all the kids running around and having a good time with a lot of adults, just forging some relationships there. So that was fun. Went the next year hanging out with one of the families I became really close with. The mom and dad in that family were really awesome people to look up to, and the kids in that family were a lot of fun to hang out with. So I ended up having a really good relationship with them for that next year. The next summer I did the same thing, was going to the Bay, hanging out a little bit more with the high schoolers. And at the end of that summer, I had another one of the students come up and say, "Jacob, you should think about being a leader in this group." And I'd never thought of that before and thought that would be a lot of fun. So I went and talked to the high school pastor about it, and he thought it'd be a great idea. So we worked out some details with my schedule, and 4 years later, I've been going strong and having a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, that was a cool way to start my experience.
Okay. How do you, as a Christian, stay disciplined in your faith?
I was lucky enough to have quite a few people feed into me in becoming a Christian, and when I just started to really get serious about my faith. So a lot of those same people are still an integral part of my life to this day, whether they are living in the city with me or whether they're out traveling around a lot. It doesn't really matter where they are or where I go, but we maintain those really strong friendships. So they have really kept me accountable the whole time. They're really there to help me, to encourage me whenever I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm having a lot of gains in my life, when I'm growing, or when I'm just a part of positive things. They're there to encourage me and push me forward in that. And if it seems like I'm going to make a bad decision, or if I do something I shouldn't be doing, then they're there to call me out on it, tell me what I'm doing is wrong, because that's a way more important thing to have than even the positive side, is somebody who's there who can call you out on something you're doing wrong, and who's going to be somebody that I listen to. It's really easy to have somebody just on the street say, "Hey, you shouldn't be saying stuff like that," or "Hey, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that." But what importance is that to me? It's the people who I care the most about, the people whose opinions I really care about, and who I'm going to listen to, that I need stepping up and telling me when I'm doing something wrong. That's what's really going to make any kind of significance in my life, is having those kind of people. And I've been lucky enough to have started with a group of people that started my faith, to have found a couple people that helped push it forward, and now I have such a large community of people who are constantly there with me every day, making sure that I'm living in a way that is glorifying God.
Okay. How do you think that being disciplined in prayer and scripture has restoring effects?
I really see an individual's spiritual life being a 3-part process, where there's an up, an in, and an out. The up being the person's relationship with God, so that's where prayer and scripture comes in there. The out being how that person goes out into the community and serves, how they're being involved in different groups or communities. And then the in, having a community around them, like I talked about before, having people who can continually feed into them. So it's really important to have all 3 of these aspects. The prayer and scripture part, the up part, that continued relationship with God, is probably the most important one, because without that, there wouldn't be anything to pour out into the community. There's an illustration where you can only give what you have, and so we're told through Scripture that we're supposed to have an overflow of love. Well, we can't overflow into the community. We can't pour stuff out into the community, into the people around us, unless we have something being poured into us. And so praying, spending that alone time with God, reading Scripture, that's where we get that's where we're getting filled up, is getting that. If we're not getting filled up with God, if we're not spending that time with Him, then we're not going to have anything that can overflow. We're not going to have anything to pour out. We're going to constantly be empty, and that's going to not be fruitful for the individual or for the people around them.
Mm-hmm. All right. And can you give us an example of when you've been faithful and God has come through for you?
The high school group takes a trip every year up to San Francisco where we serve the homeless community there. And so the first time I went was a life-changing experience. It was, to this day, remains probably the best, most important week of my life in really getting away from a faith I was used to, a faith that I knew here, and really going and being a part of another part of God's kingdom, particularly the broken part where people are homeless, where they're sick, where there's mental things wrong, and just separating myself from what was easy and comfortable here and just getting into that, and that spending that time with that particular community there was life-changing for everybody involved. And so using that first year, it was amazing. Going into the second year of doing it, I decided I knew exactly what was going on. I knew exactly what God was going to be able to do. I knew exactly how to get it accomplished. I didn't need to rely on God for that because I'd already been there, done that. I knew exactly what to do. And that second time through, I came out of that not having had such a good experience. I didn't capitalize on opportunities I should have. I was probably too pushy and bossy with people, impatient at times, expecting things to happen in certain ways. And that just was bad for myself. It was bad for the people involved because I was putting it all on me. I wasn't putting any of it on God. So the next year, I saw that mistake. The next year I decided, you know what? I'm not going to have any expectations. I'm going to go in only expecting God to be God, for God to be amazing, because that's what He does. So I went in not trying to plan ahead, not trying to decide this is exactly what's going to happen today, this is what's going to happen tomorrow, this is how you're going to react from this. I went in saying, you know what, God? You have control of this. You can be awesome in this. And I'm going to let you play out. I'm just going to sit back and watch, and where you need me, I'll act. Where you don't need me, I'll stand back and watch. And it turned out to be an amazing week. So being able to just put my faith and trust in God for that week and not build myself up, not put myself in a position where I knew what was supposed to happen, it just made that week so much better because I let God be in control.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.